Good morning, South Africa, and welcome to True State of the Nation, where we take an honest look at what is happening in our country. So last week Friday, the ANC once again demonstrated their complete contempt for the people of South Africa and the rule of law, when they gave Jacob Zuma another get-out-of-jail-free card.
Former President Jacob Zuma will indeed not be going back to prison. Well, the story that the Correctional Services Commissioner tells is that he actually did go back to prison as per the order of the Supreme Court of Appeal, but then was a beneficiary of this remission program, which will see over 9,400 prisoners receive early release.
This after the Supreme Court of Appeals found that Zuma's release on medical parole in September 2021 was unlawful and ordered him back to prison. But this ruling created a big problem for the ANC. Despite the destruction Zuma has caused this country, he is still powerful and popular, as was demonstrated by the deadly riots that followed his incarceration in July 2021. So Zuma is something of a political hot potato for the ANC. They don't want to alienate ANC voters that still favour Zuma, and they don't want to deal with the potential of another riot so close to the election. And they also want to pretend to be serious about dealing with their internal corruption. While Jacob Zuma, on the other hand, is determined to stay out of prison at any cost. So how does the ANC solve the problem of Jacob Zuma? Well, the timing of events tells us that there was a lot going on behind the scenes that the ANC would not like us to know about. Zuma coincidentally fled to Russia just as the Supreme Court of Appeals was about to rule on his case, claiming once again to have a medical emergency that somehow only the Russians could deal with.
News 24 reporting this afternoon that former President Jacob Zuma has decided to extend his stay in Russia. He's there as his foundation says he's receiving medical treatment. Meanwhile, the Correctional Services Commissioner, Tobakhala still has to decide whether Zuma must go back to prison physically, after the Constitutional Court refused to overturn a previous judgment that the decision to grant him medical parole was illegal.
We could speculate that he had no intention of coming back and being locked up, but that would have looked very bad for the ANC. A deal needed to be struck, one in which the ANC could pretend to uphold the law while making sure that Zuma never actually spent any time in jail.
Yeah, he is not above the law. And that's why the National Commissioner took a decision that he must come back. He must comply with the Supreme Court of Appeal judgment, which the National Commissioner explained in terms of how he has complied. So he is not above the law.
I can just imagine ANC lackeys working throughout the night to find a legal loophole to make this possible. And find it they did, in Section 84(2)(j) of the Constitution, which gives the President the power to grant prisoners remission of sentence. Of course, if the President had used this power to only grant Zuma remission, their charade would be obvious. But the ANC truly thinks we are stupid, and that we would not notice what they were doing if they released Zuma along with 8,500 other criminals. The Minister of Justice even tried to gaslight us by saying,
to South Africans who would say that President Ramaphosa just did not want to use a presidential pardon and used this special remission as a means of releasing one of his own, a former an ANC member, what would you say to those South Africans?
Yeah, obviously, he has got no reason to circumvent the process. He could have, if he believes he can be given a remission or a pardon, he could do it. But we are dealing with a serious situation now in all our facilities that needs our urgent and immediate intervention.
Okay.
But if you believe that, you are a complete idiot. While the President's decision to grant this mass remission was clearly a ploy to free Zuma, and as such, a massive abuse of his constitutional power, the decision was met with mixed reactions, with former Public Protector Professor Thuli Madonsela tweeting, "I support the remission of former President Zuma's sentence as Ubuntu anchored. The point regarding no one being above the law has been made, and the teaching power of the law leveraged. Nothing more could be gained through further incarceration. There's also the fact that his release was the state's mistake." Now, I have tremendous respect for our former Public Protector, but with this tweet, she is completely missing the point. Contrary to her statement, What releasing Zuma demonstrates is that powerful people in the ANC are above the law.
Why has it taken place in this particular fashion? It kind of throws a bit of a doubt on our whole criminal justice system. People are sentenced, should they not serve their full time? Yes, they are entitled to pardon, they're entitled to be released on parole, they're entitled to be released under correctional supervision. He's just been released.
Jacob Zuma's case proves once again that as long as the ANC are in power, you can rest assured that anyone close or loyal to the party is effectively above the law.
That not even the Constitutional Court can send him to jail, and that the ANC will protect their own at all costs, and justice will never be served, no matter how much pain and destruction these people have caused the country. What the President demonstrated with this massive charade is that there is no lengths the ANC will not go to stay in power. There is no law they will not break or manipulate to get their own way. The President blatantly manipulated the Constitution in order to overturn the court's ruling that Zuma should be sent back to prison.
Of course, then the question is the politics of it, but also the politics in the party political sense, but also the politics in terms of whether that sends the right signal about respect for the rules, respect for the institutions, respect for the democratic system as such, which is really a lack of respect for these things and an attack on these institutions that landed Mr. Zuma in prison in the first place.
So this is a much bigger issue than one man getting out of jail. It's about the ANC's willingness to bend and break the law whenever it suits them. And this does not bode well for our democracy. If they are willing to release 8,000 criminals just to free one man, just imagine what they will be willing to do to make sure they stay in power and stay out of prison themselves. But let me know in the comments what you think, and please like and share this video, and let's get South Africa talking.